Children's Compact State Council meeting, and this is being brought to you by our team at the State Board of Education, without whom I wouldn't be able to do anything technical. I'm going to go ahead and call us to order at 10:02 and pass it off to Nathan James for a roll call of the State Council members.
Good morning, everyone. Captain Ross?
I'm here, present.
Very good. Commissioner Rogers?
Good morning, here.
Deborah Muniz?
Here.
Tammy Mason? Colonel Kuchin? Or Lieutenant Colonel Bell?
Colonel Kuchin.
Good.
I said this is Mr. Peter Raymond. I'm representing Colonel Kuchin.
Oh, okay. Dr. McConnell?
Present.
George House? Millard House? Senator Gresham? I'm Nathan James, and I'm here. Bernard Childress? And Madam Chair McLaughlin.
Present. Additional attendees, if I don't call your name, please speak up. Manuel Hemington, she's a school liaison officer at Fort Campbell. Jennifer Lundy, school liaison officer at Millington. And then there's another couple callers on there I don't recognize. Who else is next?
Line?
Is anyone from the National MIC3 office online? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Nathan, for establishing a quorum, and for record-keeping purposes, State Board of Education is recording this meeting, which will serve as our meeting minutes.
And I would also ask that the recording from the previous meeting will play as minutes for the last meeting.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. If we could move on to slide number 2. This is our agenda that we'll be following. Slide 3 just lists the members of our State Council based on the roll call that Nathan just completed for us. Slide 4, introduction of school liaison officers. I've spent quite a bit of time with the ladies from Fort Campbell. Due to April month of the military child, we went on a tour of our local area to be present for proclamations made by local governments. So we have Manuela on from Fort Campbell. She's representing her and Terry today. And then Jennifer Lundy from Millington. And I have corrected Manuela's contact information, so the correct phone numbers and links to their website information is located on this slide, on slide number 4. Manuela, do you have anything to add?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Jennifer, do you have anything to add?
I echo that. Not at this time.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Slide 5, just our annual reminder of what our purpose is. And pursuant to the terms of the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunities for Military Children, the Tennessee State Council on Educational Opportunities for Military Children is established to fulfill the objectives of the Compact through a means of joint cooperative action among the compacting states to promote, develop, and facilitate a uniform standard that eases the state-to-state transition of military personnel, their spouses, and primarily their children, as these children transfer from one state to another and from one school system to another as a direct result of military parents' frequent reassignments. Next slide, please. Okay, according to our bylaws, annually we are to conduct state council elections. Who just joined, please? Do we just have a new call? Oh, Millard House. Welcome. I see you. Nathan, please let the record reflect that Millard House from Clarksville, Montgomery County Schools joined.
Okay, we've got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to slide 6. So, according to our bylaws, the officers of the council shall include a chairperson, vice chairperson, and a secretary. The officers shall be duly appointed council members. Officers shall be elected annually by the council at any meeting at which a quorum is present and shall serve for 1 year or until their successors are elected by the council. The officers so elected shall serve without compensation. So basically, I'm suggesting that we just carry on with the 3 state council member officers that we have, myself, Deanna McLaughlin being the chairman, Bernard Childress remaining as vice chairman, and Nathan James remaining as secretary. So I'd like to make a motion to that unless there are any objections. Okay, is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, who made the second, please?
Courtney Rogers.
Thank you. All right, the motion has been approved and seconded. All members of the council who approve say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Okay. Thank you, Nathan. You've been reelected. And Bernard Childress, he does this to us every year. He doesn't show up to the call, and then we elect him, and he's happy. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, Elizabeth, are you able to check these, to connect these links?
Not in the present on that.
Okay, I'll just speak to them. So the national office, through the Training and Development Committee, and in cooperation with DODEA, created 3 public service announcements that are commercials that are running on social media, armed forces networks, to promote the compact. And they're very short clips, but if you ever have an opportunity to push these out on social media or through your contacts, they're very informative, they're quick, they high-level touch on what the compact is and what our mission is. And I believe that you can click the live links from the State Board of Education slides for this meeting.
Hey, this is Nathan. I just want to let you know, so everybody's gotten these same slides in a PDF format. On the PDF, you can just click right on it and watch each one. So everybody's already got it. It's just on the webinar software that we have. You have to embed them using like a process. So everyone though on the call does have PSAs, and they're on it.
Deanna,
Yes.
This is Tammy. I just want to let you know that I had joined the call.
Okay, thank you. Nathan, will you please let the record reflect that Tammy Mason is joined?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, slide 8, please. This is where I will hand off the speaking to Deb Muniz, who is our Military Family Education Liaison for our State Council.
Good morning, everyone. The slide that you see in front of you has the states that are currently doing a Purple Star Award or some variation of that. And what I want to kind of talk about today is the Purple Star Award for schools who are serving military, family, and children. Ohio kind of began this journey because of a discussion between ODE, Ohio Department of Education staff, and legal, some of the local legislators. What led to the next step was we had 2 focus groups. These focus groups contain military personnel, military support organizations, ODE staff, some of the teacher union staff, school personnel, parents, and even students of military parents. As we held these focus groups, you're going to see in the next couple of slides, a lot of things become evident. So as we were walking out of the second focus group, we kind of realized that there were things that could happen in schools that would be very easy for the school personnel to implement and also for the Ohio Department of Education staff to support. Some of these things that we noticed, and these became themes, and you will see them play out across the next couple of slides. Awareness of MIC3, an understanding of military needs, someone to turn to who has some kind of background in MIC3, and information that's readily available for families, like on a website or brochure or things like that. If you could go to the next slide. So during these focus groups, data showed that many school leaders and staff were unaware of MIC3. Even parents were not aware of their rights under MIC3. So when parents started to tell their experience of moving from state to state, base to base, the school staff that were sitting in the focus group found that they had ways that they could easily help the families. One principal stated in one of the meetings, and this is how simple and how much impact the parents talking had on the school personnel. Some of the parents were talking about, you know, they want to feel welcome when they walk into a building. And the principal, as I was walking out, she said, one of the easiest ways I can show them that we really support our military families is I need to hang the flags of each military organization in our entrance. We have room to do it. We have the U.S. flag. We have the Ohio flag. We could easily add those there, and they would instantly know that they're very welcome in our building. Another issue that came up was there was a parent there, and she was talking about her transition from one area of the country to another. And during this move, her husband got deployed. So she and her two daughters were coming into a new town, a new school system. So she goes to enroll her daughters, and the form has a place, as do all schools, where you have to list a second contact for emergency contact. This young woman had no one. So she went back to her house. She walked over to a neighbor that she had never met, knocked on the door and said, I need a second emergency contact. Would you be that for me? And to me, that was such a dilemma in so many ways for a parent to reach out to somebody they didn't know, to be the person the school might call in case of an emergency. There's just so many things that are frightening about that. So not only did the parents see some issues, the school did and saw easy ways to fix some of those. And the Department of Education staff felt that this was something that they wanted to pursue with the schools and the families and the ideas that they brought to the table, but do it in a voluntary way. Because there had been so many times where mandates had come down, they really wanted to step away from that and do this on a voluntary basis. So they wanted the schools to look at this as a way that they could meet the needs of their school, the students, and the families. This would give the school a sense of ownership and build a sense of community among the school staff and the families. The other benefit that the Department of Education staff felt might come out of this was better serving not only the military children, but also if schools got into this routine of looking at transcripts and how they come in and how they leave in a different way, or how quickly we serve students that come into the building with IEPs or gifted plans, that this might actually roll over into other subgroups. If the school was looking, I have so many things I want to tell you that I just kind of had to write all my notes down. It was felt that if they could find buy-in from a school district or a school building instead of a school district, that it would better serve the families, because once it becomes a district, you may have a point of contact, but they serve an entire district. If you have it within the school, then as children come and go, then those needs can be met more immediately. So next slide. From the focus group, OD found that there were some repetitive items that the school staff and parents felt were needed, and some that would be nice. So the needed items on our application became the required items, and those are the first two on the slide. The ones that people talked about, it would be nice if, then those became the optional items. So a point of contact, people felt that that was absolutely necessary. I mean, out of our meetings, that became the number one thing. Parents needed some place or someone that they could go to that had some history with either the military, but definitely with MIC3 information that they could go talk to. But not just the families, it was also the students. So if there was something that was happening, a parent became deployed or was coming home or whatever, they could make contact with that person to see, what can I do, can I talk, those kind of things. But also not just families and students, but teachers, because we found that the teachers really had a very little history with MIC3 and wanted to help, but didn't know exactly how to go about it. So if there was a point of contact who had some type of training, then that would be the person that they could go to. The other thing that became very repetitive was the idea that information about the school as related to MIC3 and working with military families needed to be on school district's website. You know, it didn't have to be a long, drawn-out item, but there needed to be information about, you know, what do I need to bring, you know, how many military families do you serve, what kind of services do you provide, because what we found was that some of the military families who were being transferred were not living on base and were able to shop for a school district, and when they did the shopping, they were having a hard time finding schools that were military friendly and how they approached that. Then some of the optional items were just kind of awareness type things, and for either the community, the students within the building, professional development for the staff, and then actually some districts talked about a resolution of support so that they could post that out on their website so families could see that they're committed to this particular endeavor with military families. The award that Ohio was promoting has a renewal period. School districts can, or schools can sign up for the award. If they are granted the award, then that lasts for 2 years. The reason behind that was a lot of times when we get an award, it becomes very easy for it to get pushed to the side as new things come in, new mandates come in, you know, new curriculum comes in. So we wanted to make sure that this was always something that was coming to the top over and over again. Next slide. The applications for the Purple Star in Ohio, they're very short and very direct. You saw the things that districts had to prove. The first class of awardees was in May of 2017. There were 10 schools that applied, 8 were awarded. To date, there's been 4 sessions of awards and 142 schools have been recognized. the work that has been done by some of the schools under this Purple Star Award has become very beyond, I think, what even MIC3 it kind of mandate. We have school districts. I contacted some of the people that are point of contact, and they're going above and beyond what even our Purple Star Award asks for. They are doing things like Skyping with the deployed parent. And it may not just be that child that's part of the conversation, because we want them to feel like they're supported. It could be maybe a support group that that child's a part of does the Skype, or it could be their entire class. Maybe they're having parents come in and talk about their jobs. The school would set it up so that they could Skype with this parent to participate in that activity. So there's a lot of things that they're doing that kind of go above and beyond. One of those things is this Ohio Association of Purple Star Schools. It was created for these schools to be able to have conversations, and one of the conversations that's going on right now is the idea of taking the Purple Star and pushing the bar higher for some of those schools that really want to achieve, looking at things that they can do to go beyond the Purple Star Award. So this has become quite a passion for some of these people that now understand what MIC3 is about and what our military families need. So that part of it makes me very happy. All right, next slide. So outcomes. This is one of the things I talked about with the point of contact in two of the schools that have the award. They're excited that they have 142 people or schools and their point of contact that they can connect with to make or have discussions about what's going on in their schools. And I think that helps to make those schools better at what they're doing. The awarded schools are having I've talked about this, are having discussions about what they can do beyond the Purple Star Award. And what we found at the Ohio Department of Education was that this award did not have any additional cost for the department. We were the awarding entity, and within our staff, we had two people that were working on it, the MIC commissioner and myself, and, a third person, my supervisor. And the award that we sent out, originally we talked about providing a coin, but we had actually a zero budget. So what we did was we provide them with the image of a purple star and the logo, and then they can put that on whatever they would like to. If they have brochures going out or if they want to put up a banner in their hallway, they have permission to use that logo to show that they have achieved that award. Next slide. This is a link actually to the Purple Star application. It contains the components that I talked about, those that are required items and those that are optional. If you could see just in the first set of applications, all the varieties from those 10 schools of the things that they were doing within the optionals, our schools are very creative. I just have to say, very creative. Next slide. So what I wanted to do was, if this is something of interest, we need to kind of decide, is this something we pursue in Tennessee? And talk about what are the components. Do we want to follow what the other states have done and make those our components? What Tennessee State Department, would the Tennessee State Department be the awarding agency? And then kind of talk about what is the process, what is the date that we want to complete having the process, and then how are we going to promote it out, and then when do we want to have our first class of awardees. Deanna, would you like for me to turn this back over to you for any discussion and then a vote?
Sure, and just let me make a statement first. If this is something that the majority of the State Council would like for us to pursue, my recommendation would be that Deb and I work on this together and come up with what it could look like to present back to all of you. So I'm throwing that out there before open discussion takes place. But I really would like to hear from the directors of schools like Dr. McFall, Millard House, and Tammy Mason on what they think about this, since they're in the schools every day.
Well, I'll start. This is Tammy Mason. I think anything that we can do to, one, garner awareness within our schools, especially as new employees come and go, to help support our military families is vital. But even more importantly than that is, we have a large military community, and every 3 years, we got new people coming in, and they're all on different cycles, and we see them when they walk in, that's just, I don't know where I am, and being able to put something in place to ensure that we can reduce some of that stress and anxiety, I don't know a reason why we wouldn't do it.
Thank you. Dr. McFall, do you have any?
I agree with everything she said and would pretty much just echo that. I do think a lot of the problem is a lack of awareness on the part of the families, on the part of the educators, and the communities.
Thank you. Millard House, do you have any comments? Might have a bad connection. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take an official vote of the State Council to see if you would, to agree that you would allow Deb Eunice and I to draft up what this program would look like, and then once we have that done, we can push that back out to you, the State Council members, in the form of an electronic vote.
This is Raymond Campbell. Before you go any further, I have some comments.
Is that Nathan?
Say again, ma'am?
Who's speaking, please?
This is Mr. Raymond from Fort Campbell.
Hello. Go ahead.
How are you?
Good.
We have over 10,000 students military connected in the Clarksville-Montgomery County school system, and Mr. House and I work very closely on issues related to that at the executive level. Our school liaisons, of course, work with the family members. My concern as we get into this, having been involved, in this process at the executive level for several years, I don't want to create I would not want to create the state to create an undue burden on the schools, because I know locally across the Montgomery County School District, what they go through on a daily basis already. I would ask that as the council considers this and as you're planning this, I would make this process as minimally invasive as possible and include the local military representatives, whether that be Fort Campbell out here or Millington out in Memphis or whatever the case may be. I mean, even for Nashville Metro, Fort Campbell, could assist them some. But I would hate to see an undue burden created on the school districts and the schools in general because of the process over.
And Dina, this is Millard. I'm sorry, I had some connection issues, so I ended up calling in. Completely agree with what was just said. I think for us, especially being that, we're a community not only that's, as Peter indicated, that has several, military-connected kids, 12, 13,000, but we also are seeing the number of social and emotional issues grow. in our school district. So I think, the Purple Star Award is a great opportunity not only for students that are military connected, but also for students that are not military connected to understand the issues that many families endure that are military connected. So it's an acceptance opportunity to really build the resilience of non-military connected families as well, to understand, what many of them are dealing with. So I love the opportunity. I think there, as Peter Raymond indicated, there are some players that definitely need to be at the table to ensure that the execution of something like this happens in a seamless manner.
Hi, this is Commissioner Rogers. Just one comment. It's just kind of in the legislature, I was aware of some of the many challenges at our schools as well. So this is great. I mean, I like the concept of it and the raising of awareness. I just really want to make sure, and I see it on the slide, it's a recognition for service, but not a mandate.
And this is Deb Muniz. And in Ohio, that is the way that we felt we would get schools to buy in and make it a part of their day-to-day execution rather than doing that execution in a deeper way. We felt like if we went through something that was a mandate, that schools would, not execute it quite in the same manner. We want to be this to be more of a grassroots. We'll give you the ideas, we'll give you the support, and then from there you can build it to make it into what fits your school, your community, and your family, because that's going to have the greatest impact. Because I live on the eastern side of Tennessee, so what I see here, I mean, even, in one state, what I see on this side of the state and the number of families may be totally different than what you're seeing in, Fort Campbell because of sheer numbers. The people where I am located probably see very few students come through and have a lesser degree of understanding of MIC3. So I think one of the big things for this committee maybe to do is figure out how we can promote this so that it isn't, centralized in one area, because we do have military families, or at least in Ohio, we had military families that ended up in every county almost. And it was important for each one of those schools that received those kids to have that same information. So,
yeah, and if I can add, this is Tammy from Arlington. I agree with what everybody has said. I think their key is that what the goal is, and from being a director of schools, there is a lot out there on everybody's plates right now. So I think as you're putting this program together and what it could look like, I think the key word is awareness, because I think most schools are going to do the right thing, but the key, I think, is having schools aware of the challenges, and then they will just naturally embed some of these things in their current processes. For example, school registration. It becomes just something that's embedded in it and not something new. So I think that's the key, is the awareness, and where can you embed this within your existing processes that you have through your PTAs and a variety of different things that would keep it from not being cumbersome.
Any more discussion? Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it'd probably be beneficial that if we approve this, that Deb and I come up with a draft and maybe send it to our director of school members of the state council and the military members, per Mr. Raymond, to give us feedback on before we present something final to the full council for approval. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I make a motion that we pursue this with understanding that Deb and I will work on a draft to share with the 3 directors of schools that are members of this committee and the military members. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, thank you. That passes. Deb and I have our work cut out for us. We're lucky to have her, by the way. She came to us from Ohio with a lot of experience, and she's volunteering all her time. We're very fortunate to have her. Okay, next slide is number 15, Tennessee Educator Serving Military Children's Course. This is also Deb. Take it away, Deb.
All right. So I just have to tell you, I'm really so excited about this. So if I'm stuttering, I apologize, but I'm one of those people, once I get wound up, you know I'm going to be wound up all day. My husband and my dogs thank you guys. One of the things that we just talked about was having a point of contact, and that point of contact having a place where they can receive training. In Ohio, we felt very much like what I've heard from this group. We don't want this to be something that is, a great deal of work and is pulling educators in a lot of different directions. So what we decided to do was, instead of providing workshops where people had to leave their districts, come in to ODU or, onto a site and leave students behind, we decided to use the learning management system and develop a course on there that the point of contact could actually go in, do their training, and then we would have records that they had done their training, and when they submitted their application, we would already have their completion of the course. But what we liked beyond that was that the course was open up to every single educator in Ohio. Every single educator could have access to this course, go in and take it. If I was a point of contact, then I could take the course, and then I could use the course to do professional development within my building, or if a teacher came to me and said, I have, 5 students that are from military families. I really need to understand, this particular issue. They would be able to go out during their planning time, in the evening, over Christmas break, at any point, and access the information as they wanted, as they needed on the learning management system. So what I talked to Deanna about was reproducing that course from Ohio, but have the components for Tennessee on a learning management system. And there is a free one out there, Schoology, where teachers, the point of contact, could go out, take the course, submit their answers. They could turn it in for, if they have to do so many hours of professional development, they could turn it in there. This would be a way for us to support the point of contact, but also every single educator that wants information about MIC3. The big thing for me is that it aligns with information from the Tennessee MIC3 site and the national MIC3 site, but I also have used other sites that are recognized, by the MIC3 or the commissioners in general, for things such as a parent checklist for when they move. What things might schools be asking for? Those kind of things that a sending district or a receiving district might give a parent, say, here is a checklist. When you come to us, just provide us with the things that aren't crossed out. Those kind of things from talking with parents is vital, because when they move from state to state, things change. There's different requirements. So within this course, I have 3 main units who are military children. And I have some videos that are in there that actually have military children talking about what it's like when you move, or what it's like when, you know, parents are deployed. Because I agree, that idea of the mental health and the emotional component for students in general is powerful. For military children, it is very specific where the stressors come from. So that first part is really to let educators understand, kind of in an emotional way, what it's like for these children. The second unit introduces MIC3, not only at the national level, but at the Tennessee level, and what components are specific for Tennessee. And then the third unit is ways for families to help. And within that, there's 2 general areas. One for educators, what they can, you know, what kind of things they can expect. The second unit in that component is the idea of things that I, as an educator, can provide for a parent, either as they're, you know, coming into my room or coming into my building or leaving my building. So that way, our point of contact is very well educated on those things that affect military children, but also ways, specific ways they can help, because most times educators say, tell me what I can do to help. And so, and we heard that in the focus group, the educators in the room asking the parents, so what would have helped with that? So that's, when I went out and was doing research, that's what I went to find is, what can those educators give, you know, either print it off or send them a link and say, here's specifically what we need, or what you'll need when you're making this move. So the other piece that I want to talk about is that educator course is, I think, a great way to share just-in-time information, you know, as needed, at their own pace and in their own place. So I love that part of it. But the part that I think that we didn't really get to address in Ohio was a parent course. And I think this would be something so unique to Tennessee, because you could be providing parents with information about how it works in Tennessee, and making sure that the parents coming in or who are here are very well aware of what MIC3 is, which in Ohio we found that wasn't the case. So making sure that they have that ability to best serve their children and have the knowledge, because a lot of times that's what it was. They didn't know. And when they are spending hours researching schools trying to find information, that shows you what level of commitment they have to serve their children well. Now, in Ohio, we didn't have a learning management system. We had one, but it was only for educators. We didn't have the ability in our learning management system to allow parents in. But if we use the same free management system, Schoology, we could put the parent course out there and allow parents to have access to that and work through what it means to be, you know, a military family entering Tennessee education system or working within Tennessee education system. Because a lot of times what we see when parents come to us upset was the idea that they didn't really understand the rules and regulations. And so I think it just helps build a better community if everybody's aware and working from the same page, rather than, oh, I didn't know that. Then you have people that were frustrated and and there's no need for it. So those are two things that I think would support not only the Purple Star Award, but also the just general information and knowledge, even if we don't go forward with the Purple, well, we are going forward, but even if that wasn't a component, I think these two pieces are absolutely, worth the effort to have in front of our families and educators. I think that's all I have. Thank you for listening to me as I've been around here.
Does anybody have any comments on what Deb just shared about this potential online course?
I'll jump in here. Again, this is Tammy. I think conceptually it's a good idea, but honestly, the amount of online training that our teachers already have to go through, which are hours and hours of what's already mandated, I personally cannot commit them to doing any more training above what they already do. Literally, our teachers already spend probably in excess of, I would say, 4 to 5, 6 hours just on online training that's mandated for different areas. And the thought of, and that's on top of all the other professional development, stuff like, slips and falls and a variety of different things of that nature. And I just can't in good conscience commit them to any more. I think their plates are full in that area. That's my perspective.
And this would not be something that, this is Deb, this would not be something that, even in Ohio, we did not mandate. The only person that had to have training was the point of contact if they were applying for the Purple Star. But this would just be, you may have an educator that goes to the point of contact and says, I really would like some information about. And this would be something that they could direct the person to. And they may not do the entire course. They may just go out and look at a particular item. So this wouldn't be something that every teacher would have to go through, because I totally understand the number of hours that we ask educators to spend in meetings and spend online and researching just to meet mandates. So yes, this would just be for the point of contact if they're going for a Purple Star Award, but for everybody else, this would be, you can go here and grab information.
Any other comments? Okay. Thanks, Deb. All right, on to slide 16, a review of 2018-19 cases. Okay, so for the first time ever, when I was reaching out to a school pertaining to an educational transfer of a military child, I was told that they couldn't have any conversations with me without a FERPA release from the parent. Long story short, I requested a legal opinion from the National MIC3 attorney. Next slide, please. That information is on slides 17 through 27. I'm not going to read that to you, but we'll skip to slide 27. So basically, the conclusion was that the MIC3 commissioners should be recognized as persons which compromise those school officials which are permitted access to personally identifiable information from education records related to school transitions made by school-age children of active duty military members to whom the compact is intended to benefit. So long story short, once a school system can verify who I am, they're able to communicate with me at the request of the parent or guardian of the military child. So that was one hurdle. And after the opinion was published, other states had indicated that they had similar issues. So now there's actually an opinion by a lawyer that gets paid to know what the law is out there for everybody. Okay, any comments or questions on that? Okay, slide 28, please. So the big topic of this last year was the weighting of grades. And in Tennessee, school systems are on a 7-point grade scale, and in 5 cases that I was made aware of, children were coming into a Tennessee school system with a transcript that was weighted on a 10-point scale. And Manuela, I know you know of at least 1 or 2 cases that you and Terry worked on, and Millard House is aware also. But weighting of grades is not a compact issue. One solution that Clarksville Montgomery County Schools has come up with that has been really helpful is when it comes to a child who is in their latter years of high school and they have a transcript from 1 or 2 sending schools and then their transcript in Tennessee, the concern has been applying for college or applying for scholarships. And what has worked out is Judy Springer at Clarksville Montgomery County School Systems, who is amazing to work with. She'll write a letter that accompanies those applications that explains why there are multiple transcripts, and for the persons reviewing the applications to look at the separate transcripts so that the child gets full credit for all of their courses and grades that they have received along the way. Are there any comments on this? Okay. All right. Next slide, please. Slide 29, course placement. So this comes up at least once or twice a year. Slide 30. Family moved between states to a new duty station. Math course that the child was enrolled at his or her sending school was not available at the receiving school, which happened to be in Tennessee. The area school liaison officer contacted the receiving school regarding the compact rules. The principal at the receiving school offered a virtual online math course if the child was not able to commute to the high school to take the course. So the discussion here is, does a compact apply? And what steps would you take to resolve the case? So the compact does apply. It is actually in Chapter 500 of the Rules, Placement and Attendance, Section 5.101, Course Placement. And so I'll just throw this out there. Sorry to keep calling on the directors of schools on the call, but you're a great resource for us. So Dr. McFall, how would you have resolved this case if it was in your school system?
Can you repeat the first little bit you said about the situation? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I want to make sure I'm clear.
So a child moved to a Tennessee school, and the math course that the child was enrolled in at their sending school was not available in their Tennessee school.
Oh, okay. It would, and I'm assuming, so in Tennessee, we have different courses that we can choose for math. Some folks are on an integrated math courses, and then some do the traditional Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry. So it would depend a lot, I think, on what the incoming course would be, but I think we would try to plug that in for the appropriate class that we offer in Tennessee. That would be the most equitable, if that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. So for your reference, slide 31 actually has the language from the rule. Okay. I'm trying to speed along because I told you all we'd be on here an hour at last, so we're running a little close. Slide 32 is another course placement course. A family moved from overseas to a new duty station. Parent claimed that the receiving school would not give his child credit for a math course taken at his or her sending school. After a lot of back and forth, it was determined the child only received a half credit in the course from his or her sending school. The receiving school gave the child half credit for the math course. So this is an example that happens all the time where what the parent tells you isn't always 100% factual, and that's why we like to reach out to the school system to find out what the other side of the story is before we start digging into what is covered and what isn't covered under the compact. Okay, slide 34. A family inquired about their child attending a school that they aren't zoned for based on their home location. The compact does not allow for military children to attend schools that they are not zoned for. It would have been up for the individual school to approve that, and that was not a compact issue. Okay, next slide, 35. I always like to show where impact aid goes in our state. And so that lists each school system in the state of Tennessee that has received ED impact aid. Next slide. This is the DODEA impact aid for this year as well. Okay, next slide. Since we can't click links in your free time, Elizabeth Toulos at State Board of Education has done a lot of work to reconfigure our footprint on the State Board of Education website. And it looks really good. It's clean and easy to use. And if you have a chance to look at it, please do so. And please refer anybody to this information. It does include links that will also get you to the national sites. Okay, next slide, please. Resources. On the national website, there are several resources available to include newsletters, podcasts, press releases, and webinars, in addition to frequently asked questions for educators and parents. Next slide, please. Okay, important links. The link to the national website for frequently asked questions, the national website for our state council, and then also the national organization's Facebook page. All right, next slide. So as you all know, April was Month of the Military Child. Next slide. And I tried to copy you all on information that I sent to the national organization to report on what was happening in Tennessee. So we started off at the end of March where Governor Lee issued a proclamation at the state level. Next slide. City of Clarksville Mayor Joe Pitts presented a proclamation at the April voting session of the City Council, and Millard House, Manuela, and Terry from Fort Campbell were present with me there. Next slide. And then Montgomery County Mayor Jim Durrett did present a proclamation at the County Commission voting session. And again, Millard House, Manuela, and Terry were there for that, along with the division chaplain from Fort Campbell and his family. Next slide. The R.J. Corman Bridge, which crosses the Cumberland River in Clarksville, went purple on April 24th for Go Purple for Military Kids. And then last night I sent you all a link to where Tennessee Congressman Mark Green made a 1-minute statement on the floor of Congress about Month of the Military Child. And that's not included in the slide deck, but I'm so glad that he was able to get that in. And the video has been receiving a lot of comments, positive comments through his Facebook page. Slide 45. Open discussion. Does anyone have any open discussion or comments that they would like to make at this time?
This is Courtney Rogers, and I'm so sorry. This is day one for me getting introduced to this. So the question I have is, I see a lot of veterans, so I actually have two questions. One would be, do the compact rules apply? Let's say someone is military, and they come to end their service in Tennessee, but now they've left the military, but they're coming here straight out of it. So their their children are gonna have all those transition issues still. So does that apply, or does that only apply to active duty?
Yes, they have 1 year of eligibility for their children if they exit the military.
Okay, and then the other question, because I don't want to do anything wrong, is okay, I saw your national resources, but is there a Tennessee fact sheet? 'Cause I've got like 120 service officers across the state that I can just give them in case such a question from parents comes up.
So the Tennessee facts will be the same as national, and that's the importance of the compact, is that everybody follows the same rules.
Okay.
But Tennessee-specific information is on the State Board of Education link that's included in there. But the frequently asked questions and probably the compact rules would be the most valuable resource to pass on.
Okay, the national. Okay, well, I'll try to disseminate that through our folks, or at least make sure it is. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Commissioner Rogers is newly appointed to our organization. She has taken over as the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs for Tennessee. And the reason I got a late start in us scheduling our annual meeting was because with the new governor, I was waiting to see if I was going to be reappointed, and also waiting to find out who the governor was also going to appoint. So welcome, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All right. Well, I would like to thank the State Board of Education staff. They take good care of us, and there's a lot of things that I would not be able to do without their help. And if anybody has any questions throughout the year, please contact me and Deb. We're available through email. Her and I will get together on the phone and talk about how we could map out a draft of the Purple Schools program. And does anybody have anything else? All right. Well, thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate it. And have a great day.
Thanks
All
for
right.
Thank you.